everyone, it's Colin. The most recent Sonic the Hedgehog movie just came out and is featuring none other than the shady hedgehog himself, Shadow. This started to get me in the Sonic mood, but the games that have featured the blue speedster aren't exactly all great quality. I've played pretty much all the games in the franchise and I really want to play, well, a game where I can play as the darker one of the two. This brings in Shadow Generations. This game came out fairly recently, and it's actually half of what's a remastered the Sonic Generations. Now this puts the game in a weird expansion slash DLC area to the original Sonic Generations, but let me tell you that this is the real deal. It's pretty much just an entire brand new game, and oh my god is it good. This brings back that beloved boost gameplay that first popped up in none other than Sonic Unleashed. Yes, the same gameplay that Forces destroyed and we thought we'd never get back. Still haven't forgotten. This game takes place at the same time as Sonic Generations, but this time from the perspective of Shadow. Black Doom is here and he's actually trying to take over Shadow's body, pretty much making this entire time paradox Shadow's problem. Shadow gets a little PTSD when he runs into Maria and Gerald Robotnik, but this actually turns out to be a good thing and convinces Shadow not fully lean into the darkness, thus letting him stop Black Doom, restoring time back to normal and saying goodbye to Maria one last time. This game, just like Sonic's version that came out 13 years ago, goes through Shadow's past and has you explore different levels through different games in the Sonic franchise. And I can't really say there isn't a single one that I didn't enjoy through my playthrough. And I will say that the first time I played through Sonic Generations, there were a couple of stages that I wasn't too fond of. So the fact that Shadow pretty much hit it straight out of the park instantly was a really nice change of pace. Like when I was younger, I really didn't like the 2D sections of Generations, and Shadow Generations still has those, but I feel like they're much better executed. But overall, there are a lot more 3D levels. And yeah, Shadow will race through these levels, and honestly, it's an absolute blast. The music is always top notch and filling you with excitement and that sense of speed.
Finally, got you now. I won't let you get away.
And the opening level does a great job of setting the vibe for the game, having Shadow run through a space station and showing off the true power of Black Doom as he throws us into a different dimension, until we poke his eye and finish the level. My personal favorite probably has to be Speed Highway or the DLC for the movie. The DLC level features voice acting from Keanu Reeves, who plays Shadow in the movie if you didn't know, which was honestly a very cool nod and utterly amazing. And the level takes place during events of the movie, which I'll avoid talking about just in case some of you guys haven't seen it yet and do plan on it. But nonetheless, that movie was amazing. Speed Highway was a super fast-paced and challenging level, and it honestly makes you feel like an absolute boss once you get through it without dying. And also, the level coming out of Sonic 06 did give me a little bit of PTSD, but of course was not as rough around the edges here. Like literally, that level in the original game took me about 2 hours to beat. It wasn't a fun time at all. But that's a video for a different day. This game's levels all feel very different while also sporting different environments, which helps with the pacing and the variety. The game also has challenges which show off more sections from each of these levels while focusing on key objectives, such as collecting a specific amount of rings or destroying a certain amount of enemies, that sort of thing. Also, this game pretty much has a different gimmick for every single main level, as Shadow will gain a new ability when going to the next zone. And this also helps the game's pacing and overall variety, making sure it doesn't feel too repetitive as the game goes on. Now, like I mentioned, Shadow does gain a lot more abilities throughout the game. The first ability is Chaos Control, which will slow down your environments and overall make it easier for Shadow to navigate. You will also gain what's called Doom powers throughout the entire game. The first one you will get is the actual Doom Spears, which lets Shadow hit and stun things from afar at a very fast pace. You also have Doom Blast, which will let Shadow hit bigger enemies and teleport to how far he kicks them, which is really handy, I will say. It can even give you access to certain different areas in the hub world or different paths in the levels, and that's really cool as well. Doom Surf lets you traverse across the water easier, making your speeds quite a bit higher and also much quicker and a pretty slick way of movement. And this leads to pretty creative boss fights, letting you use these mechanics to fire off crates at certain enemies. Doom Morph, like it sounds, makes you morph into a sort of ooze monster, kind of like a Venom symbiote type thing, and lets you climb a lot of walls and kind of swing from things. Overall, just a pretty fun mechanic that reminds me of kind of like the squids from Splatoon, if you will. The last ability, which is arguably the coolest, is going to be the Doom Wings, allowing Shadow to fly as long as he has rings, which pretty much like Supersonic in a sense. But yeah, it's pretty easy to glide across the stages, and it'll also keep your boost gauge fully engaged at all times. The way these are implemented throughout the levels never really seem to be too overbearing. They are used here in their respected levels, but I never really felt like the game was trying to shove them down my throat. The only thing is I don't feel like much levels used previous powers you would gain outside of the very last one, which is a little unfortunate because we could have gotten some cool progressing systems with really challenging levels that make you tackle every single ability. I can see why they didn't, in a sense that you basically just become Shadow's abilities at a point in time and you wouldn't really do much of the core gameplay. But these new abilities are really cool, and it does help showcase Shadow as the ultimate life form. And like I said, we do get to see some of that in the final stage, but mainly that final boss where we use absolutely every ability we've gained to take him out. The next major topic would probably be the hub world. Unlike Sonic Generations, instead of like a 2D side-to-side New Super Mario Bros. Level select, we have 3D hub worlds, which you can go in any section and have a bunch of hidden secrets all over the place. And the more of the game you complete, the more colors that fills the entire areas. Pretty much just like Sonic Generations. There's a lot more platforming and engaging stuff in these hub worlds, like I kind of mentioned. And of course, the collectibles are probably the biggest thing with that. The collectibles you get throughout the game consist of soundtracks from previous Shadow adventures, art boxes which will let you view art from previous history with Shadow, and also history boxes giving you overlooks on the history of Shadow and overall Sonic stuff. Now these can range from background tracks to random art to really cool boss fight soundtracks that you might have heard in epic moments in previous games. But yes, the hub worlds are a very good change of pace, a well-welcome change, and honestly one of the highlights of Shadow Generation. You could spend quite a bit of time just wandering around these, doing a free roam essentially, finding all these nice little Easter eggs and hidden bits. But yeah, overall, this new campaign featuring Shadow is an absolute blast, and I'd personally argue better than the original game it came from, which is a bold claim because Sonic Generations is considered one of the best of the franchise. I highly incentivize you guys to go check this one out if you are a fan of the series or just like 3D platformers in general. The Ultimate Life Form does have another game I do plan on checking out at some point, which doesn't have as high praise as Shadow Generations, but he does have a gun, so that's pretty cool. So if you do want to see that, let me know so I can get working on that video. And if there's any other topics you'd like me to cover in general or even in the Sonic franchise, please do feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And if you did enjoy the video, if you can consider leaving a like, that would help me grow a lot, and maybe even subscribing if you do want to see more from me. It really does help my small channel grow quite a bit. I do stream on Twitch over at twitch.tv/ColinGreener. I'll leave a link in the description down below, and I sometimes stream my gameplay there like Shadow or Batman Arkham Origins or that sort of thing. So if you are interested in kind of joining on, see my thought process as I play through these games for footage for you guys, feel free to check me out there. But that's all I have for today, and I'll see you next time on The Pixel Critic.
Finally, I've got you now. I won't let you get away.